On this awesome episode of UTR, we're back in Detroit for a soulful boogaloo sandwich, the holy grail of bookstores, and some authentic Argentinian wood-fired fixins. We'll even treat your sweet teeth to some James Beard Award-winning wonderfulness. Get ready to explore the cool people, places, and things that make Detroit a destination.
A visit to the Stahl's Auto Collection will take you back to a time when cars were more than just a way to get around. A fantastic assortment of gas pumps, neon signs, and automated music machines dating back 150 years that must be seen and heard. Info at stahlsauto.com.
Brought to you by Frankenmuth, a Great Lakes Bay region community. Visit gogreat.com for more info.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. And the more I explore, the more I realize it's the place to be. I'm Tom Dalton, and this is Under the Radar, Michigan. Well, get ready, because right now it's time for my top 10 reasons why you need to visit Detroit. Here we go.
Detroit has friendly and amazingly diverse people, tons of fabulous eateries with cuisine from every corner of the planet, world-class entertainment venues, astonishing architecture, a fascinating history, a wonderful walkable waterfront. Hi there, Canada. It's also a sports lover's paradise. There are makers, sellers, and shopkeepers for every want, and it's a continuously captivating cultural kaleidoscope.
Well, what's my 10th reason? Simple. Detroit's in Michigan. Bonus.
Yep, if you haven't been to Detroit lately, you won't believe it when you come downtown. So put on your official UTR Urban Adventure utility belt and get ready to get down, because we're heading to Motown. Well, if you don't know where Detroit is by now, you've got some work to do, because everybody knows it's the soul of the whole US of A. Oh, and geographically speaking, it's in southeast Lower Michigan.
Now, when was the last time you had a sandwich that embodied the entire heart and soul of a neighborhood? I know, me either, but I'm going to remedy that right now.
I'm of course talking about the famous Baloo Wonderland sandwich. It's made with love, a whole lot of soul, and a secret sauce that's so good, it'll butter your biscuit. Here at Chef Greg's Soul in the Wall on Curtis Street, Chef Greg Beard, along with his son Greg Jr., are working hard to feed their community, create a sense of place for all people, and carry on a rather tasty piece of Detroit history.
Now, I read that you're a trained saucier,
Yes.
which means you're like a mad scientist of sauces.
Yes. Well, my concept of sauces is that you just make them. You know, once you learn the 5 mother sauces,
Right.
you know, you learn all those.
What's that, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise? What are the 5?
Brown sauce, red sauce, cream sauce,
Right.
you know, so forth and so on. But it's one of those things that I asked a chef of mine years ago. I said, Chef, how you remember all the recipes you be doing? Sitting at his office desk writing, he turned around and did one of these numbers. He pointed at the bookshelf.
They're in the books.
They're in the book. So you're not going to remember all of anything.
Yeah.
But what you use all the time, it's going to stick. You're going to remember that because you do this all the time. You know?
Well, how did the boogaloo sandwich come to be? I hear it's got to do with Mumford High School?
No, it has to do with Brothers Barbecue.
Brothers Barbecue.
Brothers Barbecue was the name of the restaurant who was the creator of the boogaloo sandwich.
Okay.
And Brothers Barbecue started way back on Rose Lodge in Fullerton. And he moved by the time they started building the 96 freeway from that area.
Okay.
And he moved to where we are standing in now in this kitchen. This is the second story.
Well, what's the history of the sandwich?
Well, it was one of those sandwiches that was just created out of a oops, in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, I got all this scrap this, I got this and this. They made a sandwich out of it. So when they first made the sandwich, he was using scrap rib meat, barbecue or pork meat off the ribs, and the scrap beef that he had. and they combined it, and Gene made a sauce. It was just Gene. They call it the sauce of the islands because Gene made it, and Gene was from the islands. And by the time the 70s got here, he switched over to Loose Burger, which was a pork added beef sandwich. It was a pork sandwich with beef mixed into it. Same like the barbecue meat and the steak meat, the beef meat that was left over.
Yeah.
So he just went ground and started making a ground one. And a lot of Mumford students from the 70s on remember the loose burger boogaloo. I would call it that.
That's it. So from the 70s, the high school kids loved the sandwich.
Right.
Now, I hear some people call it the Boogaloo Wonderland sandwich.
Yeah.
Now, where'd that come from?
Allie Willis, she's hanging on the wall out there.
Yep.
That's a good friend of mine. I miss her. She passed away. This will be her 4 years. Christmas Eve this year will be 4 years.
Yeah.
She passed away on Christmas Eve.
And if people don't know, she wrote a lot of the hits. She wrote
Boogie Wonderland.
Boogie Wonderland.
September.
Right.
And the Stone.
Right.
Neutron Dance, Pointer Sisters from the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack.
Right. Now, that's Earth, Wind, and Fire.
She did,
right.
Earth, Wind, and Fire is, September and so forth and all. But she was like, this sandwich is good. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach the word Wonderland to it. Since I'm co-wrote of the song Boogie Wonderland, she said, I want to call it the Boogaloo Wonderland sandwich. And she said, because it's a wonder. This sandwich is good. The sauce is different.
I've heard so many people talk about this sandwich. I mean, I've read articles about it. I've seen TV things about it. I've heard people talk about it. I want one of these sandwiches.
We're going to cook one of those sandwiches. But we do 4 different sandwiches, America. America, we do the loose burger ground beef one, we do the steak boogaloo, we do the chicken boogaloo, and we do the vegetarian boogaloo.
Yes, please.
Because the sauce has no meat byproduct in it, it's all natural. 14 herbs, seasoned spices in that sauce. So we wanna take this sauce and put it out there for the world to try it.
Right.
And there's so many sauces, but this sauce can go on ribs, chicken, shrimp, vegetables, your mac and cheese. You can put your girl in it. You know what I mean?
Well, on that note, make me a damn sandwich.
So,
Well, it was time for Tommy to do some taste testing and bite into a boogaloo. And I have to say, this sandwich rocks. I think it's even got 5 of the 4 major food groups in it. With a capital M. Chef Greg and his son Greg Jr. are 2 hardworking, proud people who personify the passion people have for this great neighborhood and for this handful of historic homemade happiness. If you've got a hankering for a sandwich that'll make you feel good all over, under, sideways, and down, boogaloo down Curtis Street and get your hands on a Boogaloo Wonderland sandwich at Chef Greg's Soul in the Wall. It's one tasty way to connect with this great neighborhood. Oh, and note to self and you too, this place is carry-out only. So make sure you've got a close, comfy place to take and enjoy your massive and messy Boogaloo sandwich. More sauce, please.
Oh, hey there, caught me doing a little reading. Now, if you're a fan of literature, get ready to storm the castle because you're about to meet the king of Detroit booksellers. Literally. Oh.
And that's because the king and the castle of which I speak are John King and his famous and fantastical John King bookstore on West Lafayette. If you're looking for a fascinating used or rare book, this place is the Holy Grail. It's known worldwide and is also something right out of a Harry Potter novel. Now, to make sure I leave no page unturned, I requested an audience with His Majesty and the man himself, John King.
I had a whole way prepared that I was going to start our conversation.
And you screwed it up.
No, I didn't screw it. Well, not yet. Give me a second. But after coming in here and seeing this place, this is so much more than a bookstore. This is like a portal into antiquity. This is like so multi-dimensional.
You shouldn't have touched a meteorite. I think it's possessed.
I know, you even have a meteorite here. It's just, well, let's start with the books.
The book.
Do you remember the first?
Wait, when are we on now?
Yeah, we're talking.
All right, okay, I just want to be sure.
Do you remember the first time you walked into a bookstore?
Yeah, I was a little kid. A used bookstore.
And you got
I never really went to new bookstores. I always went to used bookstores.
How come?
I have no idea. I'm Lithuanian. Who knows? It's probably some genetic thing.
Well, this started, I guess, in 1965 with you and 8 books.
Yeah. Yeah, we started, I was working, doing like little flea market type places, you know, where they set up antiques and books and stuff. And I used to ride the books in a 54 Packard trunk.
Well, you've gone from that to people know about you around the world. I mean, this is you're one of the largest used and rare, amazing booksellers on the planet. You know how many books you got?
I always guess around 1 million.
Yeah, and like I said, this is. I mean, I'm sure Harry Potter probably shops here, right?
Oh yeah, he comes with his little stick or whatever he has.
Well, you've got 1 million books here. Like I said, I can totally see Harry Potter walking the halls here. How long did it take you to amass? I mean, it's been your whole life, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just a continual process. I mean, we get more books than we sell, so that's how we keep ending up with a lot more books.
Well, what are some of the rarest books that you have here? You've got to have some treasures.
Well, we've got all kinds of neat stuff. I mean, one of the things we have is a leaf from the Gutenberg Bible, but we don't put it out for display or anything. And we have books signed by presidents. We have books signed by famous authors. I mean, we get all kinds of stuff. We have original art, and just whatever you can think of that's related to books, manuscripts.
It's the whole human experience in millions of books.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. That's why I think you're so much more than a bookstore. You have collected the human experience here.
Yeah, a lot of cultures here, a lot of different opinions, political stuff, just philosophies. So there's an amalgam of things here that you don't find in a lot of places.
Besides Ryan Gosling and obviously Harry Potter, who's shopped here?
Well, we've had Ryan Gosling, Eva Mendes was with them. We had Richard Gere here. We had Martin Sheen, and we've had. Recently, or we've had like Carl Levin, the senator, was a regular customer. G. Menon Williams, the long gone governor of Michigan, he used to shop here. In fact, we ended up buying his books after he passed away. So and then Charlie Watts was here before he died, of course. And we just get a lot of people come in here that are famous, but we try not to violate their privacy or anything. We don't do selfies with them, and we don't do anything like that.
Well, it's funny. You can tell if people have been here or not. When you mention the name, John King Bookseller, you can tell instantly by their face. If they've been here, they're like, oh my gosh. You know, they're amazed and they want to talk about it. Or they're like, no, I haven't been there. And I always tell people, you got to see it to believe it.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people that never heard of us, or even if they live in Detroit, they haven't heard of us. But what are you going to do? You can't do anything about that.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Okay.
Well, with a ton of knowledge tucked comfortably in my cranium, it was time for me to find something to read. So I searched almost every cranny and nook for just the right book. And after all the time that it took, there it was! Look! Under the Radar, the rare upside-down edition. Oh, it's been signed. Never mind. If there was ever a place to peruse, ponder, and pick up a book about, well, anything and everything, this is it. So get out your bookworm and come fish for something to read at John King Books in Detroit. You might get lost here, but you'll love every literary minute of it.
You know, all that reading gave me a fire in my belly for some good food. And in this next place, it's the fire that makes the food. How is that?
Sorry, were you talking to me?
Darn it.
Well, it's the fire and this guy, world-renowned chef Javier Bardouil. Yep, here at Barda Restaurant, it's all about real wood flames, incredible food, and authentic Argentinian hospitality. Not to mention the awesome atmosphere in here. Now, before I sample all the caramelized flora and fauna they flame here at Barda, I thought it best to have a chat with Chef Javier.
I gotta tell you, Javier, I've done a lot of reading about you, and you're a rock star chef. I mean,
thank you, appreciate it.
Well, seriously, you've been around the globe. You had your own TV show. You cooked with some of the finest, most powerful chefs in the world. What brought you to Detroit? And thank you, by the way, for coming to Detroit.
No, thank you.
No,
thank
but
you,
we're
guys.
thrilled you're here. What brought you here?
Well, I heard that the city was blooming.
Yeah.
After several years of
Decline.
Yeah. So I started paying attention.
And I've met so many incredible chefs that are coming to Michigan because, like you said, in Detroit, because of the opportunities and the produce that we have in this state is second to none. So, but yeah, I love the fact that you actually cook with real wood fire, because that's the way, it's like wilderness, it's like primeval, primitive cooking. It's the way it was meant to be. And a lot of food comes, some people will say, well, my food's burned. No, it's charred.
Well, there is a really fine line in which you can burn things if you don't know what you're doing. That's why I think we are able to deliver some emotion in every plate, in every dish, because we are showing that limit, that precisely moment in which the char is nice, is part of the flavor, until it's burned.
And I mean, you're a meat-forward restaurant, but I understand your most popular dish is glazed meat?
Yes. I went vegetarian for 8 years of my life.
Oh.
Yeah, long time ago. So I have a nice relationship with vegetables. I like to cook with them. I like to express myself through vegetables. I think they are very noble. So when I came here, of course I had a menu in my head, which I tossed it immediately. So I started cooking with Michigan products, and I met these beets, these Detroit beets. Actually, that's the name of the beet. This has like what is the name for that when it's ancient? It's
antiquity.
Heirloom.
Heirloom
seeds. So I started working with this beet. I'm sorry, which is very sweet, and it's very red. And it's growing all over the planet. It's very resilient, like Detroiters. We are using the entire beet. It's a Detroit beet, and I shape it in this. This is like a most popular dish here in this restaurant, the beets. And I shape it like a flower, in resemblance to how Detroit is blooming. So it's a beautiful flower made with this very resilient beet from Detroit. And I think it's a nice message and it's a way for me to say thank you to Detroit, to embrace me since the very beginning. That was like a homage that I'm doing to Detroit, and it's amazing that people love it.
Another thing I love about this place, to me, going out to dinner is three things. It's one is the food, two is the service, and three is the atmosphere. Well, first of all, everybody I've met here, you have a wonderful staff.
Oh, yeah.
But the atmosphere in here is, I've never been in a restaurant like this.
We are in a performance, all of us. Every one of us is performing for our guests. I don't think there is another way to receive people, to bring people into your house and not be thoughtful about every aspect of hospitality.
Well, they say that life's an adventure and that variety's the spice. And everything we sampled here at Barda was a safari of incredible taste sensations. I don't think I've ever had a dining experience quite like it. I even made some cool new friends. If you and your taste buds love to travel, fire up your appetite and take it to Barda in Detroit. I promise that by the time you're done thanking me, you'll be hungry all over again. Bonus.
Well, now that we've enjoyed a brilliant brazen sensation, it's time for some dessert. And for that, all you have to do is take the B off of Barda and add a W. You'll see what I mean.
Yep, Warda Bugataya came all the way from Algeria to share her world culture and her love of pastries. And get this, she's doing such a good job of it that she's the first Detroit-based chef in over 30 years to win a James Beard Award. That's like winning a Pulitzer Prize for writing or an Oscar for acting. And Food and Wine also named her one of the best new chefs in 2022. Can you say wow? Now here at Warda Patisserie in Midtown Detroit, you'll find two things. Some of the best and most unique international pastries you'll ever enjoy, and wonderful Warda mastering her eatable art.
It all started in your mom's kitchen?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I grew up with both my mom and grandma being wonderful cooks and bakers. And even in our culture, like everything is cooked at home. We have lunch at home every day. Even if you work, you come home, you have lunch, and then you go back to work. And so I grew up in this environment of seeing women around me cooking and hosting and feeding everyone.
And from what I've read, you fell in love with food very, very early.
Yes.
Because you're in the kitchen with mom and grandma.
Absolutely.
And that the first thing they taught you to make was chocolate mousse?
Yes.
That's pretty complicated, isn't it?
It was actually my father's, one of his favorite desserts. And I love chocolate. And so it was also like an excuse for me to learn to do that and then also like make something special for him because he does have a sweet tooth.
Okay. So give me a sense how you got from Algeria to Detroit, because I understand you've been Algeria to Detroit to Shanghai, back here, you studied French literature. I mean, how did this all happen?
So yeah, I studied French literature in Algeria, and it's also where I met my husband. And then together, like we moved here to the Detroit area where he had like a job offer. But he was here before, like he was in Florida before. And so he like went to Algeria, we met, and then we kind of like moved together to Detroit. And it's always, yeah, it's a long journey. It was definitely like a culture, a weather shock for me because I moved here almost 20 years ago, almost like in winter, and the winter in Algeria is very mild.
Yeah, I understand that when you first moved here that you would call your mom every day to say, "Hey mom, it's me, what are you cooking today?"
Yes.
Seriously?
Absolutely. And back then it was 2004, 2005, so there was Skype, only Skype, for me to be able to call her, and she would tell me like what she would be cooking that day. And I still have my recipe book from when I was 13. I still have it, and so to that one I added more recipes when I moved here because so many dishes that she would be making, or my grandma, my late grandma, like I didn't have time to learn them, or like because you have mom, she would be making them for you. But when I came here with my husband, and both of us are Algerians, so we both missed that food. And so, yeah, I would call her and ask her dishes and recipes. And
Well, now, was it always your dream to have a pastry shop like this? Or something, was that in the back of your mind as you're traveling around the world?
It was, at first, it was always like to have a food business. And at first, it was to have an Algerian food business at first. And when we moved and traveled throughout Asia, it kind of like opened my mind and horizon to more flavors and more experiences. And I couldn't choose for it to be only Algerian. I wanted it to be all these experiences and all these flavors and places that became home for me.
Well, I understand that, I mean, you take French techniques, Algerian culture,
yeah,
along with world culture,
yep,
and that's how you create your pastry.
Correct, yeah. I like to call it pastries without borders.
Pastries without borders, that's brilliant. Because the space here is so, you've created the space that's welcoming to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You come here and you see all people from all walks, all colors,
yep,
all shapes, all sizes,
yep,
all economic background, all,
yep,
it's just everybody.
Absolutely.
And that's a true testament to what you're doing, to how important it is,
yep,
how tasty it is. Wow, all the way from Algeria. Thank you so much for coming all this way.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Well, I've always been here. It was easy for me.
Yep, thanks to my daughter Andrea, I've been here before, sampled several of Warda's sumptuous selections, and dreamt of coming back. And thanks to UTR, you got to come back with me. Only problem is, we don't broadcast in Taste-O-Vision, so unfortunately, you can't enjoy these as much as I am right now. Sorry about that. We tried sweet and savory treats from Europe to Asia and Africa, and all were amazing. So hop into whatever mode of transportation suits your style and come visit Warda Patisserie in Midtown Detroit. I guarantee that the only way you'll find another place like it is to come back, which of course I intend to do. So you see what I mean? Detroit rocks.
A visit to the Stalls Auto Collection will take you back to a time when cars were more than just a way to get around. A fantastic assortment of gas pumps, neon signs, and automated music machines dating back 150 years that must be seen and heard. Info at stallsauto.com.
Brought to you by Frankenmuth, a Great Lakes Bay region community. Visit gogreat.com for more info.